Welcome to the Best of Raleigh, where we highlight the visionaries, tastemakers, and trendsetters shaping the triangle. And today, we are getting uber stylish. Our guest is Wick Morgan, owner, designer, and creative force behind The Spectacle, Raleigh's premier destination for luxury eyewear. Now, Wick isn't just selling glasses, he's curating experiences, and you know we love that. With over 30 years of global fashion and optical expertise, he brings an unmatched attention to detail, artistry, and personal care to every frame and every client. From Malibu to Manhattan to North Hills, Wick's journey is fascinating, from the frames to the fits, and I can't wait for you to hear it all. So let's dive right in. Wick, thank you so much for being on the show today.
No, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Best of Raleigh with your host and real estate expert, Gretchen Coley, owner of the Coley Group. This show is all about the people and places that make the Raleigh area so special. Here's your host, Gretchen Coley.
I'm so excited to get to talk with you. You know, we were connected through Marta, who you guys have seen on the podcast. She's your next door neighbor, and she raves about you. So of course you walk up and I'm wearing a pair of Amazon glasses. I was like, don't judge me. I need to come over and visit
You're off to a good start.
But I want to talk about you and what you do differently. You've had such a cool path to luxury eyewear.
It's been kind of neat.
Tell me a little bit about the path.
When I was 15, I started in the sunglass industry, starting selling Varnays at a ski resort.
No way.
And it just kind of kept moving up the line. And I'd gone from Stowe, Vermont to Vail, Colorado, and then ended up in Catalina Island. After being there for probably about 8 years and doing surf shops and sunglasses and no optical experience, a gentleman walked in one day and he tried to kind of pitch me what he did for a living. And I attempted to sell him a pair of Oakleys and he said, no, I'm not really interested in those. And then he mentioned Cartier, which I had never heard of. And he went on and I thought, $1,000 frames, this guy's out of his mind.
Nobody's going to buy that.
Right. And so sure enough, he came back about a year later and he invited me out to his boat. And when I went out to his boat, I looked around and went, wow. Okay, this is like 80 feet of truth. What did you do again? Like, what did you do? So he had multiple shops. He had a location in Newport Beach, in Los Angeles, and many in Scottsdale, and Optical Shop of Aspen was the original store.
The Optical Shop of Aspen, is that still there?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where it all kind of started. But he pulled me in very quickly, and I was definitely in over my head. So he shot me into their surfacing lab, and I figured out a lot about optics. But then I went to Newport Beach and started kind of mastering the craft, and it was fun. And within a year's time, his then president came to me and said, you know what, we're launching a new eyewear collection called Kieselstein Cord, and you're going to move to New York. And I went, okay.
Yeah.
So just loaded up a bag, and I was so naive that I ended up on Madison Avenue and looked at one of the employees in a shop and said, are there good places to rent around here? And she was like, yeah, not on Madison Avenue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just a learn to swim very quickly, and I was kind of unaware of the people that I was meeting at the time who were legends in this industry. It was just, hey, this is Wick, this is Lon Meekley, hi, nice to meet you. I just had no idea who I was bumping into.
Well, I was reading some of the names and putting them on this list and going, who are these people? I can't wait for this conversation. But I'm so interested in why you started selling sunglasses at 16. Like, tell me about that. Because when you learn that your income is directly related to how you treat people with a product and a service, you get really good really fast, or you get out.
My dad tells this story that when I was 12, we went into some store, and when we walked out, I turned to him and I said, I want to do that. And he kind of went, what do you mean that? And I said, what that person just did. And it was a salesperson that was highly engaging. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But it just planted a seed, I guess. And once the glasses started, it just kind of gelled. It's hard to say that, these things just happen. At one point, my son was doing a high school report, and he had to come up with his own resume. And I looked at him and I said, man, I don't think I can help you with that because I never really filled one out.
I say the same thing.
So it was just, someone would, I'd bump into somebody and they say, you need to come work for me and this, that, and the other. And then, when you went from the retail side into the distribution and manufacturing side, that was huge. And I became a sales rep, and I had the entire East Coast with a couple different collections. And then when Chrome Hearts, which was a brand that was about to break, it was California based, and Larry called me and said, I think your New York days are done. I need you back in California. So just drove across the country, and that was a huge part. What my job was to go to all the boutique shops out there. So I was meeting with some of the better store owners in the country, which really is a small percentage.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You know, it's maybe 15% of the optical industry is in that high-end niche.
Right.
But it was just a learning curve. You know, you're absorbing things from people that have tremendous amounts of knowledge. And even Larry Sands himself was kind of the Mick Jagger of the eyewear world.
Is he still alive?
He is, but he has definitely stepped back. But
he's enjoying the boat.
Yeah, exactly. One would hope.
And
right?
the plane.
So it was a high bar, and it was a small company, and that was very helpful because when you're working, it's not some corporate monster where you get lost in the shuffle, and that was kind of special.
Sounds like you're an opportunist. It sounds like you say yes to things before you really know what you're saying yes to.
Yeah, I mean,
and there is so much good fortune in that. I think that's my gift. And my team will tell you, she says yes and then looks at us and tries to tell us to figure out how to make it happen. Because I get so excited. If it's something that seems interesting to me and I'm passionate about it, I'm like, yeah,
let's go.
I'm in. And then he looks at me like, what
Are you sure?
Yeah. Now, how are we doing
What
this?
have you committed us to?
I have no idea.
Well,
it's going to be great. We're doing a podcast, Damien. It's going to be amazing.
And that's kind of, Raleigh, at the time, my son was 2 years of age. And his mom and I were never married, but she was from here originally. And because my job was all about travel, moving her here just made sense. She had family here.
She had family here.
So at that point, things were going very well in my career, but at some stage, I was literally on the road 24/7.
Wow.
And then about every 10 days, I'd fly to Raleigh. And I'd visit my son for 3 days, spend the weekend. A lot of times we'd stay in the hotel down across the street from the Crabtree, which was quite funny because there are probably still staff members
Marriott,
that remember us hanging out in there because we'd ride the elevators up and down all day long.
All the fun things.
But at that point, I was finding myself, waking up at 6 in the morning on a Monday to fly back to the West Coast and virtually going to the airport with tears in my eyes.
That's a hard life.
It was not what I needed. And I went to my boss and just said, mate, I appreciate it. That was 17 years of fantastically fun times, great education, but I need to go hang a shingle so I can spend time with my son. And I specifically remember someone that I knew fairly well in the industry who looked at me and said, mate, you're out of your mind to give up your position. You've kind of hit the spot that you really needed to get to. And I said, my son doesn't care how much money I'm making.
Yeah.
He just wants my time.
Yeah.
And at that point, that was it. I'd come to North Hills. I'd introduced myself to the folks here, and they were very gracious, but there just wasn't the right location.
For you.
And I was having lunch with my son at Vivace, and there was a curtain shop that was right there. And I looked at him,
remember that.
And I said, mate, that's the spot. Like, it's the perfect neighbors, it's the perfect area, it's the right size, but too bad somebody's in there. And I never brought that up to the folks at North Hills. But a month later, I was driving down PCH, and Steve Brown, who I mentioned earlier, he gave me a call. And he said, Wick, there's somebody who wants out of their lease, and I know you're not going to know who I'm talking about because I didn't show it to you, but it's called the Curtain Exchange.
You were like, bam,
I
universe opens
kind of
up,
pulled
right?
the car over in that moment.
I got to sit down for a second.
Kind of a thank you. And that was, I told him I'll be out there next week, and we'll sign this and get this underway.
Well, so Raleigh, your son was here, his mother was here. When you came here and visited, when you spent that time here, what did you love about Raleigh? Because you've been all over the world in some really incredible places.
And it strangely, it reminded me a little of Stowe, Vermont.
Yeah.
And Burlington especially. It's a small town. It's college oriented. It wasn't, pretentious in any way. It was quiet. It was just, and it was everything that you loved when you could get away from the rest of it. Especially New York, even California, how busy it is.
It was a little slower.
Stop. And I was ready. I had traveled extensively to the point where the last thing I needed to do was see more stuff.
Yeah.
And it just was the right timing. You could sense that Raleigh was just finding its stride and starting to have some vision. It was really coming together, and retail was becoming a big part of that. And their enthusiasm to have me was a big part of that too. It was just exciting to have somebody that excited to have your concept be a part of their mall.
So how did you come up with, I want to talk about Spectacle. It's not your average eyewear shop. How did you come up with, how do you go from this this small, traveling all over the country, but then you go just say, okay, I'm going to plant a flag in a former curtain shop and open my own thing. That takes a lot of courage.
Well, on one hand, it was a no-brainer because I needed to do it.
You had the
to
knowledge
be with my son, and my confidence level was high, certainly from all the experience that I had. But there was also a part of me that, Larry Sands' Optical Shop of Aspen shops were gorgeous stores, but they were designed to be maybe a little intimidating. If you walked into one of these shops, you definitely would look around and go, ooh, you need to have some money to be in here. And although that was stunning and appropriate for the areas, it was never my personality. I liked more of a comfortable environment. And the shop that I created was really an extension of my living room. It was just a lot of personal items in there that you're going to spend a lot of time in that environment. You should love your environment.
I agree.
Yeah. Right? You come in every day and it puts a smile on your face. And so that's where the concept started, and it was just very effective, and it was quite easy to do. But as soon as we opened, it was probably about a good 2-year figuring it out, getting into the rhythm of it.
Wet.
But it started to hit, and at that point, my mother was dealing with cancer, and she, and it had gotten to a point where she'd gone back to Colorado, and her health had declined much more than I was aware of, and she was with my brother, and it was a Saturday that I had that just blew up. Just one of those days where I was so busy I couldn't believe it, and it just, wow. And I went home, and I was hanging out with my son on the front step, and I called my mom, and it was to tell her that
What a great day you had.
it had happened.
Yeah,
You
finally.
know, it wasn't even a thought anymore. It was just it's just taken off, and it just had a moment. And I just remember, the sound of her voice, the pride that she had, and she had passed away the next day.
Wow.
And it was, there were a lot of things that happened in this shop that just kind of happened due to the karma, the timing. It was pretty impressive. But that was special.
There is an energy about you
That was
that is
special.
palpable. I can feel it. You have an aura, and you can tell that the God, the universe, whatever spirituality you have, is pulling you, which is amazing.
There's been a lot of neat things.
So what makes the spectacle so special? What was it in that day that it just hit? What did you figure out in that moment that you were like, you know what?
It's always been about customer service in my mind, but it's also been about, being approachable, having fun.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun doing what you're
Don't
doing,
do it.
that's unfortunate. Yeah, that should be a rethink immediately.
That should be a quote in this,
Right.
because that's totally my motto. If you're not having fun, you got to do something else.
Yeah, something's wrong. And as that picked up momentum, it really became a little more personal each and every other time. And then oddly enough, I'd gotten to a point where we were quite busy, and then COVID hit. And, I always wanted to have an environment that was, private and just one-on-one, and it certainly wasn't something when you're launching a business, you couldn't start that way.
You can't
It was
start that way.
impossible. And as scary as COVID was, and as shocking it was, and to go into the shop and the parking lot was dead empty, and what was going on, I was still going to work every day. And then I started receiving phone calls, and people were like, "Are you in there? What's going on?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And it just started with, you're more than welcome to come in. We'll lock the door. It's just one-on-one. You can wear your mask. But at that point, and some people were kind of like, well, why can't I come in? I explained to them, I said, I'm having people remove their masks so they can see their glasses. So I can't bring somebody else in at the same time.
Yeah.
And that just started that going in that direction. And then COVID kept going.
Longer than we all thought.
Around the 2-year mark, it had become very evident that it was just a great way to do this. It was a little difficult, and without COVID, it probably wouldn't have happened. But honestly, the year prior to that, I'd become so busy, I wasn't able to give people the attention that I thought they deserved. And in sales, that's extremely important, but in optics, it goes up a notch, because if it's all perfect and the person puts their glasses on, they go, I've never seen this, great, you're wonderful. But the second that something isn't quite right, and it's usually a doctor's prescription that isn't quite suited for that person, I have to jump into gear and kind of figure that out. And that's where I really can, I'm an interpreter. When somebody says, wow, my right eye is perfect, but the left eye is blurry, and the prescription's dead on, I've got to get them back in front of a doctor to sort that out.
So you have a mutual referral relationship with someone that you could send people to that could say, okay, let's just do this eye check one more time.
And many times, even if it's someone I haven't met, I've got so much experience looking at an old prescription or a new prescription, there are tells.
You can tweak.
Yeah. And again, it's a game of communication. I tell people, when you're with your doctor, that's it. If they could see through your eyes, you wouldn't have to have gone in that day.
Yeah.
But since they can't, it's a game of understanding each other. And if you have a little miscommunication, let's fix it. That's all.
Are you making the lenses right there? Are you sending those out to be made?
Both.
Okay.
They're very technical lenses called progressives. That's
which is probably what I need.
Yeah, that's a different facility. That's up a notch that you don't put in your back room in a 1,300 square foot. But cutting lenses is one of my favorites. I make single vision glasses all day long. And that is just something that is incredibly rewarding.
So are you working by yourself, or is there a team?
That's where it gets better. So when I started, I hired a great local optician. He was with me for 10 years. He has actually moved down to Wilmington, opened his own shop, which is fantastic. And I had a young lady that replaced him that worked with me for about 5 years. But she was getting to the point where she was going to move to go hang out with her son, and she needed some time off. And my son jumped in.
Family run.
So,
wow.
And my son at this point he was 19, and he was looking into forensic science and forensic law, and I certainly supported that. But within about 2 weeks, his ability to communicate with people, his just
he's been
persona,
with you his whole life.
It was nuts. And so I said, Macy, I don't want to steer you off in a different direction. Do what your passion tells you. But I walked him through kind of what I thought it might work like if he came and worked with me full time. And kind of more importantly, that it was very natural. It wasn't a forced thing. It wasn't like you've got to take over the family business. It was, he had the ability to immediately engage with people. Yeah. And I said, Mace, I'm just telling you, I've been in retail for the last 40 years. The one thing I've always said is you cannot teach personality.
You can't do it.
And so when that happened, it just clicked. And so he is now going to opticianry school.
Wow.
And he's watching the shop right now while we're doing this. And if you ever call, again, that might get me going all over again. But it's extraordinary to go into work and have your son there.
How old is he now?
He's 20.
And what's his name?
Mason.
Mason. I love that. I love a family business. My daughter just got her real estate license. I don't know that she'll ever really do it, but she tells everybody she's going to take over the business when I pass. I'm like, well, I hope that is a long time away. This episode is brought to you by the Coley Group, the #1 Compass real estate team in the Triangle. Whether you're dreaming of a stylish downtown loft or a forever home in the suburbs, we are here to help. We would love to help you find your place in Raleigh. And there is a link down below for a neighborhood match survey because we believe in exclusivity and helping you find your slice of heaven. 5 to 7 minutes, you're going to get 3 top neighborhoods and itineraries. So for those of you who are thinking about making a move from the suburbs in or out or coming in from out of state, you'll want to start here. You say that eyewear should fit your lifestyle.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
Right.
What does that mean to you?
It's if you jump right into fashion is just an expression of somebody's inner self. You know, whether they've got a handle on it, whatever they're looking for, it's out there.
This came from Marta's, by the way.
Fantastic.
Marta dressed me.
Brilliant. And
she knew you were coming in today. She knows everything.
And when people come in, the first thing I'm doing is looking at the face, scale, coloration, even sometimes, observing what they wear. I'll immediately grab frames that fit based on coloration, scale. But then you're in a different discussion. Once you get those things correct, now you're into personal expression. And that's a bit like picking shoes. They're flats, they're high heels, and they're boots, and they have nothing to do with each other. And that actually is what makes it hard on someone. I will find 3 frames that represent different approaches very quickly that fit them and look amazing, but then you've got to find that inner moment that kind of clicks. And that's a lot of fun. And there's some optical things I won't bore you with that are very specific. Some people have very high powers. Yeah. That narrows their choices very quickly to work with the optical also. And that's something that's just a higher skill set that when you've done it as long as I have, it's an instinctual thing. but walking them through it and getting them to understand it is very rewarding. That's a lot of fun.
And glasses are such, like you say, self-expression. Like, I never wore glasses ever before my reading vision started to go away. Are yours
Absolutely.
real, or are these like?
I'm the exact same as you.
Yeah, okay.
My distance vision is fantastic, but I will no longer text you without my glasses.
I cannot, because
autocorrect will send
I have
something
to talk
horrible.
text,
Yeah.
and it's still bad because I can't read it.
Yeah.
And even though I've got the text blown up on my phone, but now I feel like glasses are a part of your outfit.
Absolutely.
They're a part, like wearing a hat almost. And
in the last 15 years, that's really turned up a notch. If prior, you go back 25 years ago, if you went to Europe, you'd find optical shops everywhere. You'd notice everyone had amazing glasses. If you asked someone in Europe, how many frames do you own? The answer would be 3 or 4. I mean, it was like shoes. They'd get a collection. And in the U.S., there was always a medical attachment to it. So they were treated a little bit like crutches. You know, these are just to fix your vision, so just wear those and go. And only a small group out there was really addressing the fashion aspect of it. But that's changed a lot in the last 17 years.
I would agree. And you say liking your glasses is not good enough.
No.
You have to love them. How many pairs of how many frames do people who work with you, your best clients have?
You know, you can really, to start at the front, I can find one pair of glasses that really can do it all.
That can transition.
Absolutely. They can mix and match with many outfits, and I say that frequently. I don't get a chance to see your closet, but I can imagine. And it really is about colorations. You're dealing with warm tones, cool tones. There's a lot of thought that just kind of goes into it quickly. But ultimately what happens is once they get that one pair, and they go out in the real world and somebody goes, oh my God, I love your glasses. Those are awesome.
Yeah.
It starts the wheels turning. And then the next visit goes up a notch. So it starts with a flat and now they're back to find a high heel. And then it just, so many customers end up in the 2 to 5 category very quickly in glasses. Some can get extreme and those are fun, but there are people that have 100 pair of eyewear out there.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's finding, the items that you put on every day, 365 days a year, whether you have 1 or 2, and they represent a different feel. Just like, when you get dressed in the morning, I love men's watches, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
They have to have their own unique look.
Yeah.
So when you get up and you look down, you go, it's that one for today.
That one today.
Glasses are the same.
That's what I do. Sometimes they match my outfit. Sometimes I wear 2. Yesterday, I had a pair on my head and a pair on my face, and I was like, look at this little.
It's an interesting look.
Look at this.
Double them
idiot,
down.
like over here. But and I'm watching you. You haven't touched your glasses once. You see how many times? I know you're watching me. I can see your eyes. So fit, you talk about attention to detail and craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And that starts with the vendors, the products that you're carrying, but it is
Absolutely.
also your touch to those. Tell me about some of the lines that you're carrying.
So, you have a wide mix. You can go from kind of a classic Tom Ford, very
I love
fashion-forward
Tom
approach,
Ford right now.
And then you can get very eclectic very quickly. European brands, Teo and a Valentine. They can be very colorful, very, very feminine oriented. They many times someone will look at me and go, what's your best sellers? That doesn't
They
work
all
that way.
sell.
Yeah, tell me who's walking in the door. A 19-year-old young lady or a 65-year-old attorney. I buy frames based on kind of a wide berth of audience. And many times when somebody walks in, I immediately will grab a frame and hand it to them. And it really can be the right frame out of the
Right
gate.
at the gate.
And they go, well, how'd you do that? I go, well, I actually bought that frame for you. I just hadn't met you yet.
Wow.
So when I'm looking at eyewear, I'm pretty fast and brutal.
I love that.
Shapes. It's just it's either great or it missed its mission. And when you're dealing with manufacturers that build at such a high level of quality, I don't have to worry about that anymore. That's kind of a misconception in our industry that many name brands that people are very familiar with, these are licensed products.
Yeah.
So they don't have direct contact. That's maybe not in the consumer's best interest all the
I
time.
agree.
Because sometimes these designers are designing for a runway look. They have no idea what optics can or can't do. But also, it's penny to pound. At the end of the day, if a manufacturer is not paying a rather large chunk of a licensing fee, they're going to put it into the quality of the product. And Bart Prayer is a great example of this. He's a good friend of mine. He ran Oliver Peoples for many years and left to start his own company. But when they did that, it was based on that concept. Build it right.
Yeah.
Nobody knows our name. and they will not come back unless they put it on and wear it and go,
And it's
this is
fabulous.
incredible. Yeah, this is just, it's performed beyond my expectation. That will get you a customer for life.
And your customer base, who are your clients? Because they've been with you for a long time. And I hear that people are coming from all over the place. Marta was like, you have no idea. People come here from all over the country. I'm like, what? The what?
Even that floors me sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
But how? But wait, who are they?
That's, I mean,
They're across the board.
how long do we have?
Yeah.
I mean,
Not an hour.
There's just so many different individuals that walk through that front door, and some are aware what's going on. Some have never been to a shop like this before. But the one thing that in my mind is just the most important of all is to give that person an experience, whether they even shop with me or not. I probably gave them so many pieces of information that the next time they go look at glasses, they're
more
much better
educated.
equipped. They know what they're doing the next
So can you
go-around.
just walk in now? Or is it still a one-to-one appointment?
Because people ask for me at such a level, I have to be appointment
only.
You know,
Exclusivity is a beautiful thing.
and I feel bad if it's inconvenient for anybody, but at the end of the day,
Here's the thing, Wick. I love it because I am a fast-paced consumer. I'm down and dirty and brutal, same thing, and I do not want to wait. So I would rather schedule an appointment with you and come in and have your undivided attention.
Right.
Because there is nothing worse than you being mid-sentence with me, somebody walking in the door, you transitioning over, and then I'm sitting there, and by the time you check out, you're in there for 2 hours. I don't have time. Nobody has time for
and
that.
it throws me off.
Yeah.
I mean, I
can't
love to be
focus on the
involved
same thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a slow process.
No.
People ask me, how long is this going to take? And about 15 minutes is
you
all
can
I
do
need.
it quickly if you're great at your job.
And I don't want anyone to feel rushed, but many times I'm finding the right things immediately. And when I go back to grab more frames, it's probably to prove that I found the right ones first. But only by seeing that can you tell. And it goes from there.
Do people typically come in and look around first, or do you engage immediately?
Many times it's immediately.
Yeah, okay.
The wonderful thing about, the shop is that I've been here long enough that many times the people that are coming to me, I really don't advertise. This is the first podcast. I mean, I haven't done anything.
So honored.
I'm
so honored. I can't wait for you to fit me with a pair of glasses that I could actually keep on my nose.
That's going to be the fun part, seriously.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that many of the people that come through the door have been sent. And I've said this in the past, take amazing care of one person, they'll tell their 10 best friends. And treat someone poorly, they'll tell 1,000 strangers, and they should.
And they'll leave a bad Google review.
Right? And so sometimes the work's already been done. They walk in going, are you Wick? My friend told me just to let you do your thing. And that's fun, and I don't ever want them to feel that that's how it has to be in any way, shape, or form. But that trust goes a long way. And again, I love what I do, and it means the world to me. And when it goes properly, it's what I expect. And if anything about it goes sideways, it'll keep me up at night.
Yeah. You don't want anyone to be unhappy.
No. And the effort there is always going to be at its maximum.
So what's next? I know your son's taking it over.
Well,
stepping in.
He's got a long way to go.
He's got a long way to go, but are you staying with one location because you're only one person? Like, I love the
Absolutely.
feel.
Yeah, it's come up so many times, and in our industry, many times an owner will have great success and go, well, I'm just going to reproduce it down the road, and it's going to be great, and I'll make just twice as much money. No, it does not work that way.
No, I know.
You're dividing it. You're working 40% harder, making 20% more.
Less.
It's just too much, and you're just losing connection with how it was successful in the first place. One of my favorite comments was, I think it was it was an advertising group that had called me and said, we really want to work with you. And I said, no, I'm great where I'm at. I'm at a level where the business does exactly what I need it to do, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And they said, well, you can never be too busy. And I went, actually, you can.
I can disagree with that.
Yeah, because I said, now, if you lose sight of what made it successful, you can just lose the customer service, the quality. These are things that I just wouldn't.
And the thing about our business, you're in a product business, but you're in a service business. First and foremost, if it wasn't for you and the service that you give, the products don't matter, right? And I'm in a service business. A reputation takes so long to build, and it's gone so fast.
Yeah.
And we see it happen all the time. Just what you said with businesses who have a great model and they scale. and you lose the personal touch. And so I am so appreciative of this conversation today. I feel like I have learned so much about you, and I have got to set an appointment and come over there and get some great glasses that I can keep on my face all day, and then I don't have to wear 2 at a time.
Yes.
You know? So thank you so much for being a part of this show, and I hope that you all learned so much about the spectacle. Wick, where can everyone find you?
Here at North Hills.
Beside
located
Vivace.
Right next to Vivace. And again, just if you go online, just give us a call. We love a phone call.
What's the web address?
You could email me
Okay.
at info@specsnh.com.
SpecsNH, okay.
But again, if you look us up, I love a phone call because when people call in, it's instantly personal, and it does make me laugh because my son sounds just like me, so they confuse us all the time. But it is. I just love the fact that when people can take a little moment of their time and let us do our thing, they should be walking away very happy. And
Are you
having a
on
great
Instagram?
Experience. No, ma'am.
No. Look at that. Amazing. That tells you how exclusive this man is. And I can't wait to get
Or
over
I'm just
there.
being lazy.
No,
I don't know.
It's fabulous. It's fabulous. Anyway, you guys have gotten so many nuggets. If you are looking for a fabulous experience, to feel well taken care of, to feel fabulously framed, you need to reach out to Wick at The Spectacle. We'll link all of the places that you can call him, especially his phone number. We'll put that in bold down below. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I've learned so much, and I will be over there next week. We drop a new episode of The Best of Raleigh every Friday on YouTube, Spotify, and on Apple. We appreciate you sharing your time with us, learning about the people, the places, and the businesses right here in Raleigh that you need to know and that you can trust. We'll see you at The Spectacle right here in North Hills and in the next Best of Raleigh. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.